All right, it's your first year of retirement, but what has no one told you? I have 6 tips and one kind of bonus for you coming up. All right, this is really on my mind because just in the past few weeks, we've had 3 clients decide that they are retiring. One of them was kind of planned. One was totally planned, and one actually ended up being earlier than planned. And so I started thinking about this because these people will be going into retirement. It's going to be a new experience for them. And I wanted to let you know that there are some things, if you're heading into retirement, that you should be expecting that probably people don't talk about or haven't told you about. And really, I think the first one is, kind of get ready for a shock to your system because it is going to be a huge transition for you. And what you're probably going to find out, hopefully you're going to find out, is that you were probably under a lot of stress or more stress than you realized. Working at your job or running your business prior to retirement, and so I think that's a good thing because you're going to get this big shock and start to feel a little more relaxed, etc. And I think the stress kind of comes from it's kind of like a frog boiling in water, and I don't know if you know that theory, but basically, if you put a frog in boiling water, they're going to hop out right away, right? So if we get thrown into a stressful environment, we're going to hop out right away. Well, with our jobs, that stress just kind of seems to build and build and build. Well, if you put a frog into lukewarm water and then slowly turn up the heat, you will actually boil the frog and he won't hop out and he will die. So, I think that happens in our jobs is, we continue to get a little bit more and more stress and we don't realize how much stress we're actually under. So hopefully in retirement, you're going to find this big shock that hopefully that a bunch of that stress is going away. Number 2, it's probably going to take you a while to adjust to your new life in retirement. It may take a year. You need to give yourself time to adjust. And this is a good thing because your time schedule is going to be messed up for a while. You might not know what day it is or what date it is for a while, or maybe you don't keep track of the dates as much anymore. I find that very common when clients come in after they're retired, and maybe we have to sign some paperwork, and they don't know the date. They probably still know the day, but they may not know the date of the week, and that's probably a good thing. And you're probably going to start filling up your time with other things. And you'll probably wonder how you ever got anything done in the past having a full-time job outside of that full-time job. But things will fill up. It will take some time for you to adjust. And so number 2 leads into really number 3, which is you need to find your new purpose. Right. So, a lot of our lives when we're working, our identity is built in our job and what we do for a living. You go to a party, people ask, what do you do for a living? And that's how you answer. Well, you're going to have to find a new purpose in retirement. And I think the thing that I want you to understand is it's okay, right? It's okay to let go of who you were and start thinking about who you want to become. And so your retirement is going to be a different experience. There's going to be different purpose. Maybe your purpose becomes, working in some charity, donating your time. Maybe you find some part-time work that you might enjoy. Maybe it's something with your, spending more time with your kids and grandkids. But you need to find that purpose moving forward that kind of replaces that purpose you had while you were working or employed or running your business. One thing I had somebody suggest is to get rid of all your old work clothes, right? Because those work clothes were your old identity. So maybe you need to get rid of those old work clothes and get rid of that old identity so you can jump in and find that new purpose. Number 4, okay, unfortunately, some of the big default in retirement is defaulting to screen time, right? And so we think in retirement by default, we're going to go do all these new exciting things. We're going to travel more. We're going to be more adventurous. There are more things that we're going to be doing. But unfortunately, the default is to end up doing more screen time, whether that's Facebook, whether that's watching TV, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Fox News. And so don't fall into that trap of more screen time. I feel like I'm talking to my teenage kids right now, right? They don't need more screen time, but that's kind of what happens when we kind of are uncertain with what we're doing. We're like, well, let's just pull up our phone, let's hop on the iPad, let's hop on the computer, the TV for a while, and the next thing you know, hours have gone by. And so I don't want you to be doing that because, unfortunately, if you're going to sit and do that for 6 or 8 hours a day, your retirement will be short lived because I believe you will be short lived. That's not good for our health. So don't fall into the trap of more screen time in retirement. All right, so that gets us on to point five, and so you will realize that your health is your physical health is more important than your finances, and you need to stay active, right? You need to keep your health because if you're retiring and you're 60 years old or 65 years old, you're going to have hopefully another 30 years or so of life. And unfortunately, at the ages that we retire, we aren't 21 anymore. We aren't in the prime of our life physically, so we're going to have to work at it a little bit harder to keep our physical health so we can do all the exciting and new things that we want to do in retirement. Number six, and I think this is really important, this is portfolio risk. So, portfolio risk is going to feel different for you in retirement versus prior to retirement. You're going to feel different when there is a 10 or 20% decline in the markets versus prior to retirement when you were earning and working and adding to your investments. So I think, first of all, you need to make sure that you're working with your advisor and so that you're going to have a process to address this portfolio risk or the feeling of this portfolio risk going forward. And definitely we have processes we use here to make sure that the portfolios are going to be invested properly so you can go through downturns, you can go through market corrections and still have the income that you need. But that risk is going to feel a little bit different for you. And it's okay to talk about that. And it's okay to ask questions of your advisor and tell them how you're feeling as you go through that and just work with them as those situations come up. So those are our 6 tips. And so kind of the one bonus. I think the bonuses. I think there's really kind of 4 phases to retirement, and so first of all, phase one. So phase one is like the vacation phase, right? It's like, hey, I'm retired. I'm not tied into work. I can go do whatever I want. I can travel. I can go see the kids. I can do the things in the garden that I wanted to do. And so you're going to have this vacation phase, and that's the really exciting part. And that may last for 3 months. It may last for a couple of years potentially. But at some point, you're going to get to phase two, which phase two is kind of the valley, right? So you're kind of, at some point, you're going to mourn the loss of routine that you had, the old life, the identity you had in your work, and you're going to kind of run through this valley at some point, kind of a mourning time. And it may be short-lived, but it may drag on for a while, but it will hit you at some point. So after that, you're going to get into phase three, which is kind of the trial and error phase. And this is going to be where you are trying to figure out, well, what is my purpose and what do I want to do and how am I going to find value or deliver value to others? And some people hit that right away and it pops right away, but it might take you some time and you might go through a few different iterations because it might be trial and error, and that's okay. And so those middle two are the parts that aren't quite as fun. But then we get to the fourth point, and then the fourth phase is really the new life, right? And so this is the point where you're going to say, thank goodness I retired when I did. Thank goodness I did it. I love everything about this retirement, and it was made it all worthwhile. So you're going to have kind of these 4 phases in retirement. So hopefully this helps you, whether you are just retiring or maybe been retired for a while or looking forward to retirement. So hopefully it helps you in year one kind of know what to expect. I know it's not going to make it an easier process, but if you know about it, maybe you can start working on some of the things we talked about when it happens and be a little bit more prepared for that. Make sure you work with your financial advisor. Make sure you're preparing for retirement prior to. Make sure you're communicating with them before, during, and after you've retired because they are a vital piece to helping you. But please, if this has been valuable, we'd like you to share it with your friends and family. Subscribe to our channel. And if you have any questions for us, give us a call, send us an email. We'd be happy to talk with you and help make your retirement the best that it can be.